You are making the world a better place by listening to the Joy of Living podcast. This is your guide to achieving a more purposeful, powerful, and positive life. Join Barry Shore in unlocking the best version of you and becoming happier, healthier, and wealthier. And now, here's your ambassador of joy, Barry Shore.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking, so always looking for and finding the good. You found good in abundance because you chose to tune into the Joy of Living with your humble host, Barry Shore, and our amazing guest, back for a second round by popular demand, the amazing, wonderful, always fabulous and interesting Jim Keys. We'll be on with just a few minutes, do our introduction, welcome everybody around the world. You should know that at this very moment, you have tuned in for one reason only. We know that. And it's the best reason in the world because you care the most in the entire world about you, which is great, by the way, because when you become the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony, you create more joy, happiness, peace, and love in the world. And you are joined at this moment, by 416,297 people around the world. Okay, big shout out, by the way, to Singapore. We just got notice that this podcast, The Joy of Living, is number 43 of all podcasts in Singapore. And that's amazing because there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people in Singapore, highly educated, very clever people, and we're number 43 in podcasts. So a huge thank you, and just keep sharing, and so we'll get up to over 1 million weekly listeners over the next few months. And again, you tuned in because you care the most in the entire world about you. And that's great because you know that on this show, we speak about the three fundamentals of life. When you work with these three fundamentals, the result is you'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier. The three fundamentals are, number one, your life has purpose. And when you lead a purpose-driven life, number two happens. In this case, good number two, you go MAD. Now, MAD is a wonderful acronym. It stands for make a difference. Lead a purpose-driven life, you make a difference. And the third fundamental is to uncover the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. Simple example. www. Right now, this is being carried over the internet. Ask anybody, what does www stand for? Invariably, it has to do with the internet. And factually speaking, they're correct. However, in our world, the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant, www stands for what a wonderful world. And of course, a tip of the hat and a big thank you to Satchmo Louis Armstrong for enabling that song, What a Wonderful World, to go viral. And not just touch tens of millions or hundreds of millions, but billions of people around the planet. Whenever you hear the opening bars of What a Wonderful World, what do you do right away? You can't help it. You smile. Now, smile is one of the most important words you can internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life because smile stands for seeing miracles in life every day. That's right, seeing miracles in life every day. So let me tell you a quick story. I'm privileged to speak to a lot of people on the web and also in person. Recently, I spoke with a group, 1,167 people in the audience. And I'm telling the story about Barry Shore. I'm talking about seeing miracles in life every day. And some people raise their hand and say, hey, Barry Shore, I've been up for hours already. I haven't seen any miracles. And I asked them, are you here? Can you hear? Can you stand still? I can't do that. Can you walk? I can barely do that. You have water to drink, you have food, you have a place to sleep, you have family, you have friends. Every single one of those is a miracle. And what's the proof? Simplest proof. 1 million people didn't get out of bed this morning. You know why? They died. By definition, if you're watching or listening, you didn't. If we have an obligation to live life to the full. Now, I got to tell you a quick story about me. Imagine if you can, I'm standing up in the morning, completely healthy and hearty, 20 years ago. And that evening, I'm in the hospital, totally, completely paralyzed. Not an automobile accident, not a spinal injury, rare disease took over my body and rendered me what's called a quadriplegic. Nothing in my body moved. I could only communicate by blinking my eyes. I was 144 days in the hospital. I was 2 years in a hospital bed in my own home. I couldn't move. I was 4 years in a wheelchair. I had braces on both my legs, my hips, my ankles for years. That was progress. Thank God today I'm able to be vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand. So I'm a tripod, not a biped. I can't walk up a stair by myself. I can't walk up a curb by myself. I have help 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. But you hear my voice. Powerful, positive, purposeful, and pleasant, all because of that one word. Smile. I got to tell you, though, my 8-year-old niece comes over to me a few weeks and she says, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile S-M-I-E-L? I thought about it. Smile sounds the same. Why not? I asked how come. She says, because then it would stand for seeing miracles in everyday life. Under the mouth of an 8-year-old. What was she doing? She was creating the kind of world that she wants to live in. Now, CREATE is a fabulous acronym that stands for causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. And that's what we're going to do with Jim Keys again today. And the reason that we're doing this is part 2. This has never happened. And I've been doing podcasts for a few years. We have millions and millions of downloads. By popular demand, Jim Keys, we wanted more of him. That's what people said. So I invited him back and graciously accepted. You'll be with just a couple of minutes. And we're going to continue with his list of things that begin with the letter C. They're going to shift your perspective. Now, remember, I've told people, I've been working with people for 4.5 decades. 97.2% of all the people I began working with dropped the F in shift, and the other stuff happens. So you're going to be effing careful with your F. You want to shift your perspective just slightly, and then you can internalize, utilize, and leverage the 6 most important words you'll ever know. And these are choice, not chance, determines your destiny. How you choose to respond in any given situation will enable your path forward in life and your trajectory. So before we bring on Jim, just want to urge everybody, I want to warn everybody that I do use a lot of 4-letter words. Now, of course, the 4-letter words that we use, because we live in the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, are love, life, hope, free, play, pray, swim, gift. And I use the 4-letter FU word, which is fun. Fun, yes. F-U, capital N. Now, some people raise their hand and say, hey, Barry, sure, fun's only spelled with 3 letters. Not in our world. The world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant is spelled F-U, capital N, capital N. So after the show, you see your family and friends, point your finger, twinkle in your eye, smile in your face, say, F-U, everybody. Remember to add right away, capital N, capital N. That way you get their attention. Now you can talk to them about, what did you find out today on the Joy of Living podcast? Well, you learned about being kind, because kind is the most important aspect of the human condition. Kind stands for keep inspiring noble deeds. I can't think of anyone that inspires noble deeds more than our dear beloved friend, Jim Keys. Welcome, Jim. Please say hello. 21,918 people around the world.
Hello.
Another reason why we love him, because he's low key. It's just too cool. Okay, he knows how to work the room, as we say. Point, counterpoint, and such. Right? It's very cool. So if I start reading all the things that Jim has accomplished and still accomplishes, take the rest of the show. So just go to the show notes and see all the stuff. But suffice to say 3 things. Number 1, Jim Keys leads a storied life. He didn't begin that way. He leads a storied life today because he uses the great formula that Albert Einstein created called E = MC squared. What? What does that mean? It means E, education, equals manifesting challenges and changes squared. That's what he does. And he does it so well. He's the personification of the American dream. So again, go to the show notes. I don't want to use more time than that. But first of all, welcome back for the second time, Jim. Nobody's ever done this before. So round 2, baby.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay, so let's just do a brief recap for the people who are tuning in for the first time about, you have a set of 9 C's. We were able to do 3 of them last time, and I'll just rattle them off. And if you give us 5 minutes recap on them, another C, recap, they are change, confidence and clarity. And I think you layer in 2 P's in there, which are perception and perspective. So you got 5-6 minutes, kid, to regale us.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Barry. Well, those keys are part of what I call the C-suite of learning.
Oh,
Are you not picking up my audio?
now we can hear you. Okay.
Those C's are what I call the C-suite of learnings, and it basically is what to learn, how to learn, and why. So what I shared with you last time were the elements of what to learn. In other words, change, confidence, and clarity. It's, as you said, it's all about change. The change doesn't matter. It's all about how we react to any given change. That's really what separates winners from losers. And in my book, I mentioned something that you mention all the time. The subtitle of the book, Education is Freedom, is "The Future is in Your Hands." Yes, and you say that all the time. We can control how we respond to change. You and your life are a poster child for responding in a positive fashion to a change that otherwise could have made you a very unhappy person. You chose joy, and that joy has changed your life and given you a much fuller life. Who could imagine any Barry with anything but joy in his life? What was the decision you made? And then, in order to have the ability to respond to change, you have to have confidence. You have to be able to feel that you can accomplish virtually anything. And one can, because the key to being able to embrace change is overcoming our fear, overcoming our own insecurities. I can't do it. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. And confidence is that game changer. How do you build confidence? Basically, the premise of my book is that the antidote to fear, the things that hold us back from being able to respond to change, from being able to be confident, the antidote to that is knowledge and faith. The combination of knowledge and faith allow us to accomplish anything, to overcome any obstacle, Barry, as you personally can attest to. So that combination, knowledge and faith, can propel us. And I actually, I could use Pope John Paul II used this in a letter many years ago, and he talked about the balance between reason and faith, and that too much faith, you become fundamentalist. Too much reason, you become too commercially oriented or materialistic. But like a bird that requires 2 wings, a human requires a balance of knowledge and faith, of reason and faith, to be able to soar. And that's the message in the what to learn. These are the elements of what to learn. And then the third C I had was clarity, the ability to listen clearly and to understand others and to truly comprehend. And then the simplification factor of being able to communicate clearly and simply. I think I mentioned last time that if you can't explain something well enough to a 6-year-old, you probably don't understand it well enough yourself. And so those are the elements.
I think you said that was an Einstein quote or something.
It was, in fact, yeah, exactly. So those are the elements of what to learn. And then finally, I'll close with the idea that perspective is something that astronauts have when they return to Earth. They have they have what they call the overview effect. It's a perspective of the Earth that says, you know what, we don't have borders, we don't have races, we don't have wars, we don't have crime. We have a beautiful planet with all of humanity down there at our feet. And that perspective, if you teleport yourself down to where we are right now at ground level, can often be replaced by perception. And perception of those things that we hear, and they make us mad, and they put us back in that cycle of ignorance and fear, and which leads to anger, which leads to hatred, which leads to violence. And that negative cycle of fear is what I'm trying to help each of us overcome in my book by replacing anger and fear with understanding, knowledge, using knowledge to create understanding and hope. And if we reverse that cycle of fear and create a cycle of hope individually and collectively, this world will be a better place.
So huge thank you for the recap, encapsulation of what you did. I want to make mention also that what Jim has done here is not only a book. See, a book is a wonderful thing. The Bible is a book, as it were, but it's not. Where the Bible is a living document that touches the very essence of the human and enables people to live together for a greater good. That's what Jim is doing with Education is Freedom. It's a movement. It's not only a book. It's the beginning of a process. And you talk about hope. So our acronym for hope is helping others progress every day. That's what you do. That's what you do. That's what you've done and still do in business, in philanthropy, in your marriage, and in all the people that you associate with, is that you are that, what we call a cog, that channel of goodness, that child of God. And on that note, there was a great song growing up. I remember, maybe you do as well. On the wings of the pure white dove, he sends his pure, wonderful love. On the wings of a dove, directly from above. So on that beautiful note with my voice, we're going to go to a quick break because I want to give more time to the other C's on the other side of this. Now, we would not have sponsors if we didn't vet them and think that they were worthy of your time and attention. So I urge everybody, please think about using what we have to offer you, because this is great stuff. We wouldn't have them if we didn't do it. So we'll be right back after this brief message. Don't go away. Water, wonderful, clean, clear, fresh water. I make it a point to have good habits. And one of the most beneficial habits is drinking pure, healthy water. That's why I use AquaTrue. AQUATRU, AquaTrue. You got to check out this company. AquaTrue purifiers use a 4-stage reverse osmosis purification process. That sounds like a lot, and I'll tell you what it is. It's great because there's no installation or plumbing, and it removes 15 times more contaminants than ordinary pitch filters. I have to tell you, you got to get this remarkable countertop process. The filters are actually quite affordable and they're long lasting. You change maybe once every 6 months or 2 years. So you save a lot right away, not having to buy a lot of filters. And when you use the system, you're getting the equivalent of about 4,500 bottles of water. I mean, think about that. That comes out to less than 3 cents a bottle. Plus, you're saving the environment from all that plastic and such. And best of all, the water tastes fantastic. I love drinking water. And even more importantly, my kids and grandkids love water even more so than carbonated soda. How's that? And if you have pets like we do, our dogs love this water. So I can truly taste the difference. And I urge you, please get the AquaTrue system. Go to aquatrue.com. AQUATRU.com. AQUATRU.com. Put in the code JOY, J-O-Y, at checkout. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, and it makes a great gift. You're going to love it. You're going to thank me. Go to aquatrue.com, AQUATRU.com. Use the promo code JOY, and you'll thank me. Best wishes. Bye now. Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe you're good-looking, so always looking for and finding the good. Our cup runneth over with good. And one human being, by the way, that's the genius of what life is all about. And I think Pope John also spoke about that. What the difference that one human being can make in this world, we call it poop. Power of one person. How you like that one, Jim? You smile, right?
I like it.
That's Jim Peace. He is full of poop.
yeah, pretty much. And Barry, you characterize me. I love the characterization as a dove. I do have a white shirt on, and I do fly, but I'll give you another way to characterize it. I in the book talk about fear being, it's what happens when you're a kid and you get scared in the dark and you turn on the light and you realize there's nothing to be afraid of. And to me, that's what knowledge is. So what I try to do, I'm trying to be that person that can say, I have that knowledge within me. I've spent my life trying to learn how to learn and to capture as much knowledge as I can. I see that as a light from within, and knowledge is like a torch. If it's a light, then I can carry that torch to illuminate the path for others so that they too can eliminate that cycle of fear, replace it with a cycle of knowledge and hope, throw in a little faith, and they can accomplish anything.
I want to add a little piece of salt to this to give it more taste. And that is, this is not limited in any way to any particular country or society.
Oh, no.
Granted, the United States of America is the most opportunistic, in the most positive sense, place in the history of mankind, humankind. But our light is spreading. This is what Ronald Reagan spoke about, the light on the hill. That's who we are. We are spreading that light so that every single human being on the planet, no matter where you live geographically, because you're really living in your mind and your heart. And when you can begin to use this message that Jim is sharing with us, it will enlighten you so you can be a light to others. There is no reason that everyone on the planet, as you said, with that perspective of how people in the outer space see our world, it's here. It's here now. It's incumbent upon each one of us to just pick up that light and use it inside of us. So let's talk about more C's from you, wonderful Jim Keys, who has invested your whole life in bringing about benefit to people, whether it was in the boardroom, it's in the philanthropic work, in just being you with your family and living your faith. So let's talk about the next set of C's, the next 3 C's, as it were, in the total of 9.
Sure. I'm going to cover them very quickly because I want to build on what you just said about people all over the world, all over this beautiful planet. And that's really the why, the C's that make up the why of learning. But let's come back to that. First, I'll get to the how of learning, because I talked about change, confidence, clarity, those being the things you have to learn really before you're able to learn how to learn. You've got to be able to adapt to change and embrace it and have confidence and have clarity. But then, okay, how do I learn? What do I engage to stimulate that learning process? It's really pretty simple. One is critical thinking, the ability to understand issues, complex problems. It's not that hard. The Japanese took a gentleman named Deming, who was over there in Japan post-World War II.
An American.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. And you've heard about the Kaizen, the continual improvement. That was based on the philosophies of Deming that engaged critical thinking into the business world, basically saying for every challenge you face, separate into plan, see, and do. And what does that mean? It means step back, have a hypothesis, put a plan together, put an action in place. And then here's what we always forget too often in the business world: measure the results. And then based on those results, modify your plan, modify the hypothesis, because you may have proven that your plan didn't work. And so you have to change that plan. And that continual improvement cycle is what I call the easiest way to interpret critical thinking. Anytime we see something on the internet and it causes us to have a perception, we can step back from that and then understand what it is where did that information come from? What is our hypothesis about that? Then actually study it, understand what their motivation was, and put an action in place and find another contrary piece of information perhaps, and then actually reshape our hypothesis once we have more information, more data. This is a process, a very simple process of critical thinking that will change our learning process and open our hearts in our minds to be able to keep learning. The second C is curiosity. We're all curious as little children, and we lose that curiosity somewhere along the way. We stop or slow down in our ability to ask why. And that asking why is something that it drives me. I'm curious about everything. I want to learn everything and see everything. Well, each of us has that innate ability as a human, but we have to light it up and get it and regain that excitement of curiosity. And then the third of the C's is creativity. That, again, I'm going to go back to our friend Einstein, called creativity intelligence having fun. I love that because it's exactly what it is. You see people that learn how to play the piano and they're like, oh, they had the teacher that slapped their wrists and they were so disciplined. And then they don't play the piano for the rest of their life, right? Because they didn't feel that they were competent enough, right? They didn't take that creative process and allow it to be fun. So I like to say, and if you heard me play, you'd agree, I didn't learn to play the piano. I play the piano to learn. I didn't learn.
Wait. We need to put you on pause there for several reasons. Number one, because you just gave everybody around the world a little bit of a chuckle, because everybody's tried to do something with an instrument, whether it's the voice or a musical instrument and such. Mine was the clarinet. And just, okay, I loved and I enjoyed doing it, but nobody else did. That's okay.
It's okay.
I learned a lot. I learned how to read music and such like that. Okay. And that's why in the beginning of the show, as we talked about the 4-letter FU word, FU, capital N, capital N. Fun.
Exactly.
Part of the essence of learning and education and becoming free is to know that it's fun. It really is. Falling down is okay. Matter of fact, in Japan, they have a very famous quote that they took from Proverbs, actually. And Proverbs is 7 times a righteous person falls down and gets up. In Japan, they made it into a national motto. Fall 7 times, get up. The point is not falling, but getting up every time, right?
Sure.
Because, okay, have fun. So you just freed everybody around the world, hundreds of thousands of people, and we ask everybody to share with 5 people. So you want to do it with 50 or 100, that's up to you, but at least 5. So you just freed 2 million people from that slap on the wrist and say, I can have fun whatever I do.
Sure. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as bad creativity, right?
Right. Oh, wait a minute. You hear that, everybody? No such thing as bad creativity. Wow.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, if you ever wonder, I love to take young people to MoMA, to the Museum of Modern Art in New York, and they go, "Whoa, but I could never be an artist." And I bring them in there. I look at that. See, that's a box of rocks. But it's art. It's a beautiful box of rocks, right. And the interpretation behind it is what matters. And you can interpret your own piece of art to be anything you want. You've got to let yourself go. It's fun. So that's the how to learn, freeing yourself up.
Let's review those. The 3 C's and how to learn are critical thinking.
Yep. Curiosity and creativity.
Woo!
Yeah, those are, and this is ridiculously simple, but they're things we've learned or had innately as children, and we over the years we tend to forget, and we don't give ourselves permission to be creative, to have fun. We don't give ourselves permission to be curious. We get stuck in our box. I love the expression thinking outside of the box, because whenever I hear someone say that, I'll go, what box? There's no box.
Right.
Right? Yeah, the box is self-inflicted.
So there was another wonderful creative being in the Einsteinian process named R. Buckminster Fuller. Remember Bucky Fuller? So anybody doesn't know Bucky Fuller, you got to look him up, dude, because he worked with shapes and different kind of. He's the one who created something called the geodesic dome, and such. He didn't like angles and such like that, and part of it came about because he had a very major eye disease, and he couldn't see clearly. He had his very special glasses and such, which enabled him to see the way we see. So he saw things differently. And he said, I love it. In other words, he used what he had to see things differently, to be able to create things that have become enormously beneficial to people around the world.
Sure.
And I think that's part of what you're talking about here, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Woo!
Unlocking your own potential to explore.
And I think part of what you mentioned last time also was this ability to never give up. In other words, in critical thinking, curiosity, and creativity, one can do it and say, okay, I did that. Now next, it's the ability to just keep growing and doing. Is that part and parcel of who Jim Keyes is and what you've been able to bring forth in the book and in the movement?
It is. It is. I think last time I shared a quote from Calvin Coolidge called "Press On," and it is. It's been on my desk. It's a plaque that I'm looking at right now. It's been on my desk since high school, and I literally took it off the wall at McDonald's and made a plaque out of it. But it says, "Press on. Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Genius will not. Talent will not. It's all about persistence and determination that are omnipotent."
And you said that was from Calvin Coolidge.
Calvin Coolidge, yeah.
Right. So again, we have a worldwide audience. So if you don't know who Calvin Coolidge was, he was an American president. And as you heard just from this wonderful quote, a man of few words. He was from Vermont, and in Vermont, we both Jim and I are from Massachusetts, so we know about Vermont, and people in Vermont are given to few words, and so press on is an important understanding of life. Matter of fact, what I did during the break, because I remember I wanted to talk about never give up, so I created an acronym for never give up. Would you like to hear it?
Sure.
NEVERGIVEUP. Ready? Nurturing enthusiasm, vibrant energy results in generating insightful vitality every day.
Wow.
That's never give, and up is unlimited potential.
I like it.
When people recognize that each and every single being has unlimited potential, it's like you said, it's the box. No, box is confining. I don't care how big your box is. Even a big box store is still a box.
Yeah.
We don't live there.
Yeah.
Jim lives here, which is the world.
Exactly. So let's talk about the world. You mentioned it before. You mentioned your audience is global. It's all over the world. Well, I addressed that in the why to learn. As I was writing the book, one of my friends picked up the book and he said, "Jim, it's great that you're teaching us what to learn and how to learn. Where's the why? Why is this important?" And I thought about it and I stepped back and I said, I do. I've got a response to the why. And it's also 3 C's. I try to keep this as simple as possible. 3 C's for what to learn, 3 C's for how, and 3 C's for why. The C-suite of learnings, if you will, right? And these are things that over a course of 30 or 40 years in running 2 Fortune 500 companies, I developed these fundamental skills, but there's something that anyone can learn. And we can, these are common sense things that we can all engage in our lives to lead a more fulfilled life. So you ready for the why?
I want to hear the why.
All right, here it is. All right. So the first C in the why is collaboration, because if you think about it, we all are individuals and we all tend to go through life as professional golfers rather than professional football players or soccer players, that require a team, because the individual alone can't win a football game or soccer game. An individual alone can play golf, right? And so we grow up as students being individual performers. And then we're thrust into the business world where, oh my, I have to rely on my coworkers. And for many of us, that's difficult. This idea of collaboration is hard because many of us want to see the world revolve around us. and working with others is a little more difficult. So the reasons for learning is learning because you can't collaborate unless you have the ability to work with others. How do you work with others? Well, it's the next C, and this is probably one of the most important in my book. I call it cultural literacy. Now, here's why. The world is full of people that are very different than me. And I grew up like you in a world where the only people in my world, maybe some Irish and Italian, and that was about it. And the Irish didn't like the Italians, and the Italians didn't like the Irish. They fought like cats and dogs all the time. I just thought that was the silliest thing ever. And then I had the privilege of going to school in London. And all of a sudden, I was the minority. I was like, wait, I'm not, I speak English. I'm just like you guys. And they were like, no. You're weird. You're an American.
You're an American.
You're a Yank.
English, you speak American.
Yeah, you're a Yank. You do things differently. You play that weird game called baseball. We play cricket. And it was the differences they were pointing out. And I was like, wait, no, but I'm like you. And you know who embraced me and befriended me is my friends from Pakistan and India, who were ironically the minority in England. And they said, Jim, you don't understand. You're in a foreign country. You're not in America. You have to assimilate. You have to understand they're not being mean to you. You're just being different. And you have to assimilate if you want to be accepted here. And it was very valuable learning. And I tried. And when I'd go to a pub, instead of playing darts or a pool or ping pong, I had to be busy as an American. I sat down with the British friends and talked and had dialogue, something I was totally unaccustomed to as an American kid. I had to do something. And by the second semester, they elected me to be the head resident of the hall by election. And so I went from the least popular kid in school to one of the most popular by that assimilation process. And so what I learned their culture. Now, then dial 20 years forward. Little did I ever know I'd be running a company called 7-Eleven, that I'd be privileged to be CEO of a worldwide company where the largest franchise population would be either Pakistani or Indian.
Mm-hmm.
And because I learned their culture as friends in school, I was far more comfortable in being able to communicate and being able to work with my Indian and Pakistani franchisees. And when it came time to take 7-Eleven to Beijing, I was far more comfortable in dealing with the Chinese culture because I knew I couldn't be just an American in Beijing. I had to assimilate. I had to listen more. I had to understand their culture. The Japanese culture when I was there, the Taiwanese culture when I was the Thai culture in Thailand. That cultural literacy enabled me to be a global business person, a student, if you will, of the world. And it's a beautiful thing, but it comes back to making me a better collaborator because I now know how to collaborate with people who are not just like me. The power of knowledge.
So let's unpack a few things here. Excuse the pun, Pakistan. One of the things that the Indian and Pakistani students had in relationship to you, and I say this because it just happened to me. I was in a conference recently and speaking with a Pakistani fellow who we met there, is that they knew cricket. Because they were colonized. I mean, they had a British sense to them, and cricket became the glue that allowed them to bond with other people as opposed to being a baseball player. I mean, even today, Jim, I'd be willing to bet you could go to a cricket game, but it doesn't feel right to you as much as it does going to a baseball game. Let's be blunt. You know, it's.
Well, I actually played cricket. I said I had to assimilate. So
were you any good?
First of all, they made fun of me because I was a rounders. They call it rounders. It's
right.
What the girls play in the UK. What we call baseball. They called rounders. So they took me out to sort of spring training for the varsity cricket club, and they gave me some pads and a cricket bat, and they said, "Here you go, kid, try that." And now you know how all sports comes down to confidence, right?
Right.
The mindset, the ability to believe you can do it. So I stood up and I was cracking sixes like nothing you've ever seen.
Wait a minute. This is too much fun.
Oh no,
And
it
they
was
look
a riot. I know they were all going, "That's not possible. You're a rounders players. You can't hit like that." And I thought, in my crazy American brain, what a beautiful sport. I hit a foul ball, I get 6 runs from it. Right? It's all about mindset. It's change. Yeah. Change equals opportunity. Turn it into a positive. So yeah, I made the cricket team, believe it or not.
So this is another reason why Jim is here for round 2, because you can't buy this kind of stuff. This is what enables people around the world to say, "Oh yeah, okay, well, if the Yank can do it, I can do it." I mean, again, it comes down to the confidence, the clarity, the critical thinking, and saying, "Okay, I want to collaborate. I want to be on the team. I want to be a team player. I love it. I'm here to help." And they love it when I hit these these big sixes and such. Wow. So now you went from, the dunce to the hero, and it's really a wonderful thing. But that's because you went in with the mindset is, I want to have cultural literacy. You don't go in there as, well, I'm the American, I know better, which is a dumb way to live anyway.
Exactly. But I had to learn it. But I did have to learn it.
Very good.
And I was fortunate to have the ability to listen when my friends explained to me why I wasn't being accepted, that I said, "Okay, I will change. I'll embrace change. I have the confidence. I can do this."
So this is really a critical, as you said, a critical understanding of life.
It is.
Embrace change.
Exactly.
Let's be blunt. At the moment, those people who are listening, they're beginning to get it. Most people fear change. When you embrace change, and it can be scary, nobody's going to say no, but when you embrace change with curiosity and a critical mindset, and confidence, that's what's going to happen. It will be much better than you ever thought possible. And the potentials and the realities open up and say, "Wow, that's amazing. I love life." Exactly. And learning is the key.
Exactly.
I just made up an acronym for learn. Learn stands for loving education arouses rewards naturally.
Oh yeah, that's good.
LEARN. Loving education arouses rewards naturally. Like you just said, standing up there with your pads and your cricket bat ready to hit, and bing! Did I just hit that out of the park? Yes.
And the cricket world has actually changed. Modern cricket now, it used to be we'd sit there for 6, 8, 10, 12 hours just dinking, dink, dink, dink when defending the wicket. And modern cricket is a lot more free swinging, where you see people taking good cuts at it. So I was a little ahead of my time, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was really a lot of fun.
Well, you got to embrace change, even in the cricket world, or else you're not going to be able to function. Oh, exactly. Speaking of that, let's embrace change. We wouldn't have these sponsors. We didn't think they're worthy of you and your time, and listen to them, because great stuff. I mean, I'm telling you, I use anything that we advertise, I use. I wouldn't have it on any other way. So we'll be right back with more Jim Keys and more C's right after this brief message. Don't go away.
What if you could shop at your favorite local stores, swipe your current credit card and get extra cashback rewards? And what if you could also have donations sent to your favorite cause at no extra cost to you? What if this amazing program was absolutely free and very simple to set up? Well, What If is here. Welcome to Einstein Cares, where your everyday shopping gives you and your favorite cause extra money. It's fast, it's easy, and effortless.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe you're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. We found good in abundance. His name is Jim Keys. Jim is one of the more remarkably successful business people in the world. Yes, he ran two famous Fortune 500 companies. Again, read all about him in the show notes and such like that. What he really did, though, is to use all of this knowledge for working with people around the world and running organizations that are multi-billions with hundreds of thousands of people that work for him and millions of people that were touched by him, to be able to bring together this great knowledge and put it into not just a book form, but into a movement called Education is Freedom. And when you understand that, you begin to understand why people said to me, we want to have more of him. And we're going to continue now with some more C's. We talked about the why. Why is a great acronym that stands for who helps you. That's the why. Isn't that great? You like that, by the way? I just made that up. Who helps you? Pretty cool, huh? So we talked about, now we're up to the 9 C's. And so the why, we said collaboration, cultural literacy. And what is the next C?
Okay, here you go. You ready for this one?
Let me wait and buckle up.
It may be the most important. So I won't keep you in suspense. The last C is character. It's the integrity, it's the humility, it's the gratitude, it's the compassion. It's that thing that makes us unique. So when I'm out talking, especially to young people, I challenge them. I say, okay, I'm a brand guy. I ran 7-Eleven, Blockbuster, right? I know something about brands. The Slurpee versus any other frozen beverage is different. Why? What's different about it? And it's 2 things. One, it's external. It's that colorful packaging, the Slurpee cup with all the colors on it and the brand and the name and all that stuff. And then most importantly, it's what's inside. What's inside a Slurpee? A lot of people don't realize it's a frozen carbonated beverage. So in other words, it's like a soft drink, but it's frozen, which makes it very light and fizzy, and that's what gives it that fun consistency of a Slurpee. But think about you as an individual and me as an individual. We too have a brand. People don't think of that. Our character is our brand. Now, it's not written across our chest. It doesn't say Slurpee. It doesn't say Jim Keys. It doesn't say Barry Shore across your chest, but it's there. So there's the external packaging. How do you present yourself? Do you have a smile, or do you have a frown and a scowl? How do you feel when other people engage with you? That then comes down to not just what's outside, but what's inside. And your heart, your compassion, your integrity, all of those things that make you who you are, that you're Barry Shore, those things, those things are your brand. And people forget that we wear our brand right here whenever anyone encounters us. So why do you want to learn? Why do you want to have cultural literacy? Why do you want to have critical thinking instead of taking things at face value? Why do you want to be curious and creative? Why do you want to embrace change? The reason for all of these things is they make you more interesting and make, just like any brand on the shelf. Why do you want Coke versus Pepsi? You know what's inside. Why do you want Pepsi versus Coke? You prefer what's inside of that versus what's inside of that. It all comes down to your personal brand. And we can, as with any product, have to keep improving our brand, or people will tire of it. They'll get bored with it. And so that's what learning is. Learning is to continue to improve our personal brand. When I have cultural literacy, the way I look at it is everyone I encounter anywhere in the world is contributing to the patchwork quilt of what makes me interesting. And now I'm more interesting because I've gotten to know someone from Bangladesh, and I'd never met anyone from Bangladesh, and I've learned from them, and now that becomes part of me. And so, yeah, it's a simple formula, but it's such a powerful formula for success, the why to learn. Because if we can collaborate, if we have cultural literacy and understand each other, and if we really nurture as individuals, that's why my book says the future is in your hands. Because we, as individuals, as you say all the time, Barry, we have choice, and we can determine our own character. We shape our own character. It's in our hands.
Wow. So I want to unpack a couple things here because it's so powerful and wonderful. These 9 C's that we've gone through. And again, I urge everybody, watch part 1. It's uplifting. It's fabulous. Here we are in part 2. And to come to this pinnacle, and that's almost like a John Maxwell triangle or something, or the Maslow triangle, that character is at the top, and at the same time, it is the foundation. It's what you just said. In other words, you start with what is integral to you, that's integrity, what's inside, and it gets shaped and formatted and such because you're working with all these different C's, learning more about you and by definition, other people and the collaboration prospect, and then the character at the top. And now you become this remarkably positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant channel of goodness, a cog, what I call another C. And a cog is also, channel of goodness, also a child of God. When you get to that pinnacle and you recognize that that's your character, there's a godliness in you. So when it's faith driven, then all you're here is for service. Am I correct on that? Isn't service the sine qua non of everything?
That is absolutely right, Barry. It comes down to, if you have that balance, if you have the 2 wings needed of faith and knowledge, and you can use those to soar. You truly can. You can accomplish anything. There is no crisis that can hit you personally, professionally, or collectively. There's no crisis that we can't overcome. That's the power of the human spirit. And all I've just learned how to learn. I've learned how to channel that into positivity, into positive outcomes. And that's what I'm trying to, like you said, I'm just trying to share the message with the world. Trying to help everybody get out of that negativity cycle that we're in. You turn on the news, it's a fire hose of fear and negativity.
Jim Keys.
Fix that.
SHARE is a wonderful acronym. It stands for spreading happiness and rejuvenating energy, which is what you're doing with us today. And we're appreciative. Jim, I'm almost sorry to say these, we're coming to a close of our time. So I have 3 quick questions for you.
Shoot.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Number
1, will you come back again?
Sure. 3rd time's the charm. Maybe I'll get it right this time.
Okay, I appreciate you say yes. Number 2, and if you recall, you have only 80 seconds to answer this one, Mr. Jim Keys. What is your most fervent desire?
I just want to change the world and make it a better place, leave it better than when I came here. So that's my objective. It's not, I'll share with you. When I wrote the book, I wanted to call it a self-help guide for humanity, because I really believe these things can help us all be better, and that humanity can be uplifted. And my publisher wouldn't let me do it. They said, "Who do you think you are? And change the world?" I was like, "Well,
yes. Let me talk to your publisher. We'll fix that subtitle." And number 3, may I give you a hug in front of now 439,820 people around the world?
Let it rip.
Let me tell you what HUG stands for, everybody. Heartfelt, unlimited giving. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Yours was longer than mine. I didn't time mine very well.
Jim Keys, Barry Shore, your humble host on The Joy of Living. Remember, we discussed the 3 fundamentals of life so you can be happier, healthier, and wealthier, as you learned today. Number 1, life. Your life has purpose. like Jim is sharing with us. And when you lead a purpose-driven life, you go mad. Mad stands for make a difference. You can make a difference. Use these 9 C's. Go and read the notes and share this with at least 5 people. Therefore, we'll touch 2 million people. You want to share with 50 or 100? Great, but at least 5. And learn to use WWW. What a wonderful world. And SMILE. SMILE is one of the greatest acronyms you can internalize, utilize, and leverage in life. Stands for seeing miracles in life every day. Or as my 8-year-old niece says, seeing miracles in everyday life. Create the kind of world you want to live in. That's what Jim has been teaching us. It's another C. It's one of the C's. Creativity. Create the world you want to live in, causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. And therefore, you can internalize, utilize the 6 most important words. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. Shift your perspective just a little bit. Keep that F in place or the other stuff happens. Shift your perspective. Use 4-letter words. Get this book, Education is Freedom, because it's true. Use 4-letter words. Love, life, hope, free, play, gift, swim, and tell everybody to F you, capital N, capital N. Put a twinkle in your eye, a smile on your face. You'll get their attention. Then you can talk about all the wonderful things that you've been doing. Share, share, share. And we're going to give a blessing from Jim and Barry. And that blessing is go forth. Live exuberantly. Spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Jim, don't go away.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Joy of Living podcast. Now that's another step towards your healthier, happier, and wealthier life. Never hesitate to do good in the world, no matter what the situation. Join us for another upbeat discussion next time at barryshore.com. And be sure to leave a rating and subscribe to the show to get more conversations like this. And remember to share it with your family and friends too. See you on the next episode.